in, and we did put it in. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
What came out of that? Did anything funny happen, or did it?
They couldn't quite make it work, and then at some point they changed something up with the fire extinguisher and the way that it was being held, and then it actually worked the way that they pictured it should work in a cartoon. Like it actually did propel the person and made him fly down the slip and slide. So
Oh wow,
yeah.
very interesting. Well, as we wind it down here, as we close it off, I want to share
Gross
this.
note to end on, but yeah.
Well, it's funny, but here's the list of your Amazon list of all of your books.
Oh,
And
okay.
again, I mean, anytime you have some free time and want to talk about any of these guys, I mean,
Sure.
I'm a fan of all of these guys. I could talk about them all day. You got Tito Santana, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Earl Hebner, Vader Time, Sabu, Kamala, Nightmare Danny Davis, ODB. Man, you with
That
like if you had to pick just three, are
oh
they like babies you can't pick or?
yeah, it's really tough. I can just throw you a couple things I like. Danny Davis's is a young adult book, which is a little different than a biography. So it's kind of got like a beginning, a middle, and end, and there's a message, and about working through over obstacles and bettering yourself, and wanting to be like the person coming up, and not striving to be the champion, but be the contender, the person that's trying to get better and trying to make a name for themselves. That's the message in that book. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that's one of my more favorite ones, and it's one of my smaller books. As far as the bigger books, geez, I don't know. It's always the last one I really like a lot. Like Earl Hebner is really cool. He tells a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and unsung heroes and people that worked, behind the scenes in WWF when he was there, and talks about he developed the having the idea of having an earpiece in the ear before any other referee was asking for that type of thing. What had happened was, is his name Mark Eaton, the bell keeper the timekeeper that had been doing things for a long time. He would watch the matches and not give the cue to hold the pencil up that we got to end the match soon. And Earl said, I got to do something because he's not giving me my cue. He goes in the television production box and asks for the same little headpieces, earpieces that the producers are wearing, and they figure out a way to get him one. And then he became the head referee, and then had everybody start wearing these earpieces where he could hear at least from the television production, truck, and get messages across to the boys better than they ever had in the past using technology. So that's actually an Earl Hebner creation, which is pretty cool.
And of course, that's been exposed a bit since in that famous Secrets NBC special.
Sure.
Pass the message.
Secrets of the Wrestling. What was that?
The old pencil. Harley Race with that great disguise. Yeah. You'll never figure out it's Harley Race.
Yeah, and they would say stuff like, you ever see all those signs outside in the ringside? Well, quite often the promoters make the signs themselves and then hand the signs. It's like, I doubt that's really what was going on. But
at that time, in that era, no. What about Kamala? He was a great guy. So in the legacy wing, the honorable legacy wing, he didn't quite have as good a career as Tugboat.
Sure,
wasn't worthy enough for the main.
Yeah, but Kamala was great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He really was. Yeah, good guy. And the funny thing is, he sounded more like this when you would talk to him. He didn't really sound like,
He got me a whole plate of food when I came over. He had like a whole, like not many people. Hillbilly Jim's really nice, but Kamala was another one. Had whole thing, and we ate honey donuts after.
Yeah,
the quality of him was amazing.
When we did his book, we did Kickstarter. Because basically the whole point to that first book that I had anything to do with was really to help him out because he had lost both legs to diabetes. So we did a Kickstarter, and you were getting a reward of a book that I was going to have to write, and I did. We took as a special reward some guests out to Texas de Brazil, which is like a Brazilian barbecue. and they got to eat the food. I don't know. You ever been to those where they bring
Yeah,
the
they
swords
cut
out with
it.
their
It's
feet?
delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they bring out like a leg of lamb and they cut off a little piece and stuff. And Kamala's there and he's in heaven eating all the meat that he can eat. He just kept saying the only thing that would make it better, Kenny, is if they had some rabbit. And he kept, he wanted to eat rabbit, and they felt bad because they wanted to hook him up, but they just, they didn't have rabbits on a spit there at Texas Brazil.
Now, what about ODB? Any stories on her?
Yeah, she was super cool to work with. In fact, I did uh, Mick Foley's coloring book with him, Cactus Jack and the Beanstalk, and he helped me write that. And we put it together and had a good time. It's kind of like a fairy tale version of him facing different cameo guys in a coloring book, comic book kind of form. There it is. And he wrote me afterwards. He's like, Ken, ODB had this issue with her truck. She had a food truck, and it burnt down, and she's kind of uh, bum luck right now. It'd be cool if you gave her a story, And who's going to tell Mick Foley? No, I'm not going to write the story. So I wrote a whole book with ODB from his recommendation, and it was really cool because she went through, and talked about, being younger and making mistakes. She dated Mr. Kennedy and had a falling out with him, and
He was quite the player, I've heard.
yeah. She grew up with him, and
him and Lacey Von Erich too.
Yeah. What's Davari? Davari and Kennedy. So it was those three. They were traveling around doing all kinds of shows and stuff, and working guys like CM Punk early on and this and that. And she had a falling out with him when they had a shared cell phone, and this is when not everybody had their own phone and stuff. They had one that they were using to get bookings, and one day she looked at it, and some girl from the gym was trying to set up a date with Kennedy, and then they broke up. That's so some dating advice from ODB, and she was just fun. She was really fun to work with. She was great.
Last guy I'll ask you about, although I could ask, well, I'll ask you about Tito. One question about Tito, but I got to ask you about Beefcake.
Okay.
Anything from him? He's a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was fun to work with too, and he really was uh, huge. And a lot of people don't really remember him for being like the name that he became as Bruce the Barber. I mean, if he had been
He's
around a few more years,
underrated. He's underrated, and
he
people
really
throw
is.
him under the bus all the time.
They just say he was just Hogan's buddy who got pulled along, and that happened a little bit in WCW after the accident and stuff, But and when he couldn't use the name Brutus the Barber, and he was burdened with all those crazy gimmicks that they were giving him there. But I would say the neat thing is to really see how he had that massive parasailing accident where he was helping somebody get up in the air, and then the boat turned. It went a 90-degree angle, and the legs hit him in the face, just shattered his whole face, and he had to overcome adversity and that obstacle to even live a normal life again, let alone get back in the ring and wrestle. So that story of strength and perseverance is huge, I think.
The first house show I ever went to was in June '89. Beefcake against Savage main event. There was 10,000 people legitimate selling out the Ottawa Civic Center, and they all had Brutus Beefcake shirt. Anyone that, I was there. That may have been the peak of his thing, but he was never more over than that for people that want to throw shade on him. I remember that night like there's nothing. He got a massive pop. I know looking back, there's a lot of haters out there, but and the other thing for Starrcade when he faced Hogan, they had a bigger crowd in Nashville than the Dragon against Flair when he was the Butcher facing. Yeah, it was actually sold out. So he had a less memorable WCW run, but there were some peaks in it too. But I gotta ask you about Tito.
Okay,
did he talk about Jenny? His daughter in that, or did he stay away from that?
No. Okay, so when this was written, I don't think that was revealed yet, but I went with him recently. We did a Don't Call Me Chico little book signing tour with him and special guest Greg the Hammer Valentine, which was super cool. And they did some Q&As and this and that. And I was driving with him afterwards, and he says to me, he's like, Kenny, recently they had this thing, and they found this, and she was my daughter. I couldn't believe it. They checked the hereditary, the whole deal with the genes, and the good thing about it is that when you do the math, I wasn't married. I was still single, but it was close. But he was bummed that this came about, and basically the girl wanted to kind of crowbar him into helping her with the her wrestling career and this and that. But he told her, he said, I really would like to, but it's going to cause heat with my wife, and I have to stick with my wife and this and that. So you can say, that you are the daughter of mine, but I just can't appear with you. It would cause too much family problems, so. And he always was a family guy. I mean, he would leave shows super early to get home to the wife and stuff like that. So you got to give him that.
Yeah, and I mean, you do pretty damn good impressions of all of the guys, don't you?
Yeah, my cornet wasn't good tonight, but normally it is.
you got to give us a Billy Jack Haynes. I know you.
I don't know if I. Jeez, I don't think I can do Billy Jack justice.
All right, Harley Race.
So this is funny. So Justin Race has contacted me, and he has a book in him now. It's all stories of Harley. Kind of sounds kind of like this or whatever. So I'm picturing it. So I'll eventually get there with him. But the book is supposed to be called "Don't Tell Your Mother," and it's all stuff with him and Harley, growing up, and Harley like kind of exposing him to the business and stuff. So it sounds interesting. I think I'm going to work with him.
I've heard some stories from him, and he does a great impression of his dad. Yeah,
better than me probably. I'll get there.
I would use him, honestly, if I was, this is just me as Booker, I would use him as a manager, just impersonating his dad.
Yeah, why not?
He does it so well, and he looks like him. Yeah. There's a whole situation there, too, where there's like a fake Harley Race son. Have you heard about this?
No,
there's somebody that's been going around calling themselves Leland Race for like decades, when he's the actual son.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's also a guy in all the Kamala videos, not all of them, but a bunch of Kamala videos call it the son of Kamala, which is not his son. It's just some guy that called himself that. So that's a regular thing in wrestling. I think people ride the coattails. So.
Well, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate your insights into Sabu, and I'll let you tell everyone the website again as you close off here, where you guys can find it on Amazon. Please come back to go in depth on any of these people. They're all some of my favorite wrestlers. So
I appreciate you having me on, because a lot of the guys you have on aren't really my my stature. They're more up there than me. So having an indie guy on that kind of just writes some books for the guys now does a little. I'm doing a wrestling show this weekend though, and I kind of do a Russian gimmick now. I'm a Russian manager, and I sing the national anthem like Volkov, to give a shout out for that. And
let's hear that impression. And where's that going to be?
That's in Leominster, Mass.
Give us a promo in the gimmick.
Okay. Yeah. So I would kind of come out and slam everybody for poor hygiene and say stuff like, let me think of some of the lines. I come out here and I smell the audience, and I think you think that we're still in COVID times when, toilet paper was a shortage, because when I smell out there, the way you guys stink, it seems to me like you're not wiping it enough, and you need to actually, buy toilet paper again and use it. And then I would say something like, "Hey, ma'am, is that kid your girl? When's the last time you washed her hair? It's so greasy. Jeez, man, I think even Joe Biden wouldn't sniff it." So I have a bunch of silly one-liners I say like that, and then I try to get everybody to stand up and sing the Russian national anthem, and it sounds like this. And I won't kill you with the whole song, but I kill them with the whole song. When they don't cheer, I sing it a second time. I say it one more time, and I sing it again. So.
It's interesting that because Nikolai was wrapping up his career, people would actually pop for the song.
Yeah,
but despite I don't know where the heat lies these days with Russia. I think China might be the bigger enemy.
Probably, but I grew up with the Russia thing, so I do kind of like a Russian enthusiast kind of, bring back old Mother Russia kind of thing. And I have a guy named Victor Vanko who's awesome, and he plays up the whole old school Russian gimmick, and almost like we're still back in the 80s.
Very cool. The best era of wrestling, in my opinion. Well, sir, I'll let you close
Thanks
this
for having me
off
on.
with whatever you want to tell the fans. Shut it down.
Sure. So you can check me out. Most of the platforms, Kenny Casanova. I'm on Twitter as that. Facebook is Kenny Casanova. You go to kennycasanova.com. And check out my book site, WOHW.com, which stands for Walking on Hot Waffles. That's my publishing site. And all my books are on Amazon and Audible.